The small things I like, it's the little things I want.
Baby, you're just my type when you do those little things. Show me just what you like, I don't need a wedding ring. Flowers are just my vibe, picnics feel like golden spring. Call me to say goodnight, baby, it's those little things. Cruising on your ride, stargazing in July. It's the little things I like. Give me it, give me it, give me it now. Many walks outside, small kisses on my mind. It's the little things I like.
Greetings from Jacksonville, Arkansas. Today is Tuesday, April the 1st, 2025, and the time is approximately 14 minutes after 8 o'clock p.m. You guys, I just got off the Bible Studies Church phone conference. Or did I say that right? That I just got off the phone where we have, some Bible studies on Tuesday nights. And I was just, while we were, I had just answered a question, and on lesson 5, I believe is that what we were on, I was in the kitchen and I had already started this process to make a delicious pumpkin pie. And so I have my oven preheated, which I'm going to turn it down because I'm sure it's nice and hot. But I want to share with you all what I'm doing. And because I almost just made it and not even record it. So today I have the Great Value pumpkin. This is pure pumpkin. This is the 15-ounce can. I have used bigger pans to make more pumpkin pie, but I'm just going to use this 15-ounce can right here. This is the puree, and I have already put some in this bowl. I've also cracked an egg. Now, I am only using 1 egg, even though the recipe may call for 2 to 3 eggs. I am using 1 egg because I am not making the big 30-something ounce can. I have the smaller can, which is the 15-ounce. And I don't want the taste of the egg to overpower the taste of the pumpkin pie. So in here, I've already cracked 1 egg. I've also added some granulated sugar. The recipe calls for 1 cup. I put a little less than 1 cup. I put like 3/4 cup. And I was looking for my brown sugar. I like to add a little brown sugar, but I, just couldn't find it. So, I just went with about 3/4 cups of regular granulated sugar. And then I did add, which I only have a little bit of this stuff in here, a little bit of ground nutmeg. Be careful with this stuff. It's extremely strong, so I only add a little bit of that. Cinnamon is optional, but I did add some cinnamon. Ground ginger is optional. I did add a little bit of the McCormick ground ginger. And I did add a little bit of allspice. As you can see, I have been using these spices. So, and also you can use cloves, but I have whole cloves. So if you use, I did not put any cloves in there because this is the whole cloves. And if you're using allspice, if you have this, you do not need to use nutmeg or cloves because that's pretty much what this tastes like, allspice. So you guys, here I have 2% milk right here. Shall I just put it here, reduced 2%. I also have some evaporated milk, store brand, Great Value. It gives it a very rich flavor, which is optional. Now, let me get my pie crust. I'll tell you, so I've put in the seasoning. I have sugar in here and an egg. And let's go ahead and get the rest of this pumpkin pie puree, or this pumpkin puree, out of here. Now, if you have a fresh pumpkin, you can cut that up and, take this, you can actually cut up your pumpkin and throw it in your blender and puree it yourself. But this is the canned stuff. You know what? I used to get Mrs. Smith pumpkin pie, and you cannot get Mrs. Smith pumpkin pie anymore at Walmart at all. It's like sold out. They have like Walmart Great Value frozen pumpkin pie, which I do not like that one. the taste is off. Also, I have here, so I believe I got all of that out of there. Let me just scrape that as much as I can. Now, the recipe on the can, if you look here, they have a basic recipe. Their recipe on this 100% pumpkin can here for the pumpkin pie, it says for golden pumpkin pie, 1 great value deep dish 9-inch pie crust, 3 great value eggs slightly beaten, 1 great value cup of pure sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of great value salt, 1 teaspoon of great value ground cinnamon. So that cinnamon is not optional. You definitely need the cinnamon in there, okay? But I should have just said the ginger is optional because ginger has a flavor that some people may have to get used to. And then 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. Okay, and then it says add 1 15-ounce can of great value pure pumpkin and 1 cup of great value milk. Prepare frozen pie crust according to package directions and set aside. And then it says in a medium bowl, beat eggs, sugar, salt, spices, and stir in pumpkin pie and milk and mix well. And then you're going to pour it into the fill. I'm about to get my frozen pie crust out the freezer. But you all, like right here where it says add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, I didn't add it because if you notice, this recipe does not call for any butter. Y'all look, no butter, no margarine. And even though the crust contains butter and margarine, anytime you're cooking something like this, it needs some type of oil in here to help the flavors come together, as if you were making a pumpkin pie. So what I did was I took a little bit of margarine and unsalted butter and melted this, which it's not all the way melted. And I'm going to pour it. Before I pour it, I wanted to show you that I did use a little bit of the Imperial margarine. I used to have Blue Bonnet all the time or some other generic, but one time I got a hold of some Blue Bonnet margarine and it tasted terrible. I don't know what happened, but I hadn't purchased it since sometime last year, I believe. So this is the unsalted butter. I only took about a tablespoon or so and blended it in that bowl with a little margarine. Now margarine is, and this is a little upside down, but there it is, unsalted butter, or also known as zebda if you speak Arabic. So you guys, right in here is a little bit of margarine and a little bit of unsalted butter. I guess I took it out the microwave because it was like making a smoky whatever, and it's done cooled off now. So I'm just gonna put all of that, even though those little pats in here, just one moment. And the reason why I didn't really add any salt, I may do like a little pinch, is because margarine contains salt. Here's some iodized salt. I could put in just a little bit pinch, okay? I'm talking about very small. I'm watching it, very tiny. Right there, where you don't even notice that it's in there, type of tiny amount of salt. So that was iodized salt. And then, of course, the margarine has a salty taste. Now, I did use unsalted butter, so make sure do not use salted butter. It would ruin your pie, okay? So even though the recipe did not call for any margarine or butter, because I'm a cook, I know that this recipe needs it in order for it to have that delicious taste, very similar to a sweet potato pie. So right here, I'm just stirring this all up, and off camera, I did scrape that can to try to get as much of that pumpkin puree out of there. It says pure pumpkin, but we know that it's been pureed to form this texture that looks smooth enough for a baby to eat, almost like baby food or something. But of course, if you have a blender, you can create this pureed pumpkin texture. So You see little pieces of yellow margarine or butter in there. It's gonna all melt inside of the oven. So without further ado, I gotta add some milk here. So first of all, I wanna go in with a little bit of this evaporated milk. I might not even add the 2%. Because as a cook, I'm gonna taste this, and if it has the consistency that I'm looking for, I'm just gonna pour this directly into the pie crust. And I'm trying to only use 1 pie crust this time instead of 2. Now, before I've used a bigger can. If you want to eat more pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie or whatever, but if you want to eat more pumpkin pie, get the can of pumpkin, 100% pure pumpkin, that is like twice that size if you want to make more pies. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a taste. This needs more butter, you guys. So when you taste this, and if it don't have no flavor, or if the flavor isn't the way that you want to taste it, adjust your seasoning. So let me go in with more pet milk, even though it calls for 2%. Y'all, this makes your sweet potato pies and pumpkin pie more richer. You can use both milks if you don't want to do all like evaporated, also known as pet milk or carnation milk. You can, actually add regular milk, laban, if you speak Arabic. So anyways, you just want to, and I'm just practicing my phonetics, you guys. Language, that is practicing my foreign language skills. So anyways, here goes. I'm going to add some more sugar to this, and I am going to add some more butter. It needs it. And some more seasoning. So I'm going to add some of this nutmeg, even if I don't have a lot. Let's put that in there, because you don't want no bland pie. You don't want it over seasoned, but you also want it to, and I'm going to put some allspice. You want it to have flavor that you can enjoy, so it'll be tasty. Okay, and that's the allspice. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the ground ginger and some more of the cinnamon. Okay, I just pulled out the deep dish pie crust. This contains 2. This is the Walmart Great Value. This is perfect. I understand that some people like to do the whole 9 yards and make the pie crust. This is my go-to when I don't have time to pull out the all-purpose flour and, cut it with some Crisco butter and, and create that dough and whatnot. So this is deep dish pie crust from Walmart right here. Y'all, this pie needs it. So I need to melt this some more in the microwave. So as you can see, I have unsalted butter, and I already have another pat of margarine in there. Y'all, always adjust your seasoning. And you know that butter and oils enhance the flavors of some foods. I'm actually going to not use this one. I'm going to put the 2% back in the fridge because I have enough milk, even though it says add 1 cup of milk. I don't need 1 cup of milk for this recipe, so I'm just going to stick with the evaporated milk. You all, for this recipe, I'm going to end up using like right at about a half a stick of unsalted butter. It's what I recommend. Some of it was already gone, just a little pat, but this is what I have left of it. And then I have a little bit of the Imperial margarine in here. I'm going to melt this, and I will be right back. And just before I do that, I just pulled this out the fridge. This is MOLINA Mexican Vanilla Blend vanilla, and I'll be putting this inside of there as well. So even though the recipe doesn't call for vanilla as a cook, you know, you want to go in with some vanilla flavor, vanilla extract when you're making your sweet potato pies and pumpkin pies. If you don't have it, it still should taste good, but this will definitely enhance the flavor of your pies. I'll be right back, you guys. Let me nuke this in the microwave. Okay, you guys, I have, let's see, about some seconds left on this microwave. Let's go ahead and nuke and melt this butter and margarine blend. Words didn't want to come out right. So let's get that melted. Oh wow, you can hear that popping. Oh my goodness. Look at the steam coming from that. So let me just wait. And you know, notice there was only 28 seconds left on the microwave. So it doesn't take long. That 20 seconds, that gets super hot. So you want to be careful when you're handling anything, especially things that are hot. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so it's melted somewhat. Okay, so I'm going to take this and roll with it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this somewhat melted margarine and butter blend just like I did before. So y'all pay a close attention on your recipes. What they do is they give you a general ballpark ideal of what you should put in your pie. But if you're a cook like me and you taste your food and you realize, oh, wait a minute, this pie. See, if you don't adjust this pumpkin puree to your taste, it might just taste like this can. And this can, it doesn't have flavor. So you have to always, as a cook, you have to always adjust your seasonings to make your food taste good. Even if the recipe didn't say to add butter and margarine, hey, I went in there with some because it needs it. If I didn't have margarine or butter, I would use a couple of at least 3 cups of vegetable oil to help enhance the flavor. You got to do this, you know. Now I'm going to give it a taste. That's better. Still need to add some more sugar. And now I'm going to add some MOLINA Mexican vanilla blend. You can use the McCormick vanilla extract or whatever you have on hand. So let's see if I can get any product information on this vanilla extract. These are the ingredients. It contains vanillin, pure vanilla extract, caramel oil, and some other ingredients. Ethyl alcohol. Yeah, okay, and so then it says that molinavanilla.com, that's their website, and that they are located, let's see, here's their address, somewhere in Spring, Texas. So for more information, it looks like they got 2 websites. So it is a product of Mexico. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and add this MOLINA. And this is the 8.34 ounce bottle, also equivalent to 250 milliliters. I love the smell of vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour this right on in. Be careful, it doesn't take much. All right, I just eyeball it. So some people may measure it to like a whole tablespoon or a couple of teaspoons. I just, you know, went in with a ballpark figure, you know. So I'm just going to stir this in. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that little bit of about a 1/4 cup of sugar, because I did only add about 3/4 of a cup. The recipe calls for a whole cup. If you have, what I like to do is do like, you know, some white sugar and some brown sugar, but I can't find my brown sugar because I have to get organized around here. So anyways, y'all, here I have granulated sugar, and since I already have the majority of the sugar in here, I'm just going to eyeball it instead of measuring it. I'm just going to put it about right there. That should be enough. I'm going to go ahead and stir this up and then give it another taste. Wow. Y'all, this tastes way better. And I can taste the vanilla in there too as well. And so, you know, when you bake this, it should thicken it up a little bit. But if you feel that it's not, because I only used like 1 egg and you're supposed to use more, you can go ahead at this point and sprinkle a little bit of flour in here. That's to, the flour, all-purpose flour is to thicken this, of course. So let me get my all-purpose flour. While I'm getting the flour, I just open up the deep dish pie crust. This is frozen. And right here it shows you that you get 2 9-inch deep dish crusts right here. And this is 16-ounce 1 package right here. So when you open this, if you notice, it's going to be 2 crusts, 1 and 2. I'm going to go ahead and take out 1. Hopefully I don't have to use both of them. So if I can get this on out the bag. It's not really a bag, but if I can get it out of the packaging. So my goal is to only use 1 pie crust. Voila, I managed to get it out of the packaging, and I'm going to put that other pie crust in the freezer. And right here, it's some all-purpose flour. I got to get some more of that, and I'm just going to go ahead, and I did add a little bit more sugar, you guys, and I did add another little small pinch of salt off camera. So I'm going to sprinkle. It doesn't require you to do this, but as a cook, I know to add some all-purpose flour, because I can tell that even if they say it's going to thicken it up while cooking, because I'm only using 1 egg, and the eggs have not been good because they have some kind of bird flu. I don't want that taste, that off taste of an egg tasting like blood or a bad egg to overpower my pie. So I only added 1 to help it for binding purposes. And so I'm adding flour so that when it's cooked, it's going to operate as a thickening agent, very similar to cornstarch. So, and I usually add a little bit also if I'm making sweet potato pie, which I haven't done that one in a while. I usually do some cobblers and stuff like cherry and other things and banana puddings. But here goes, let me taste it. I just about have perfected the taste of the pumpkin pie filling. So before I pour it in here, you want to make sure, before you pour this filling into your pie crust and bake it in the oven, you want to make sure that the filling itself is at your standard, the way that you want to eat it. Now, if you have like pieces like that, don't worry about it. That piece of butter, believe me, it's going to melt inside of the oven, but I'm just going to try to whisk and break this up to the best I can. I just added just a little bit more of that all-purpose flour. Okay, so you want to put this I just put this other pie crust back in the freezer so I can use it on another time here. Okay, so without further ado, and I do have a whisk around here as well, but just for the record, I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, continue to beat this filling with the spoon, and at the same time break up some of the pieces of butter that didn't melt all the way. The margarine melted very quickly, but not the butter. So you guys, always customize your, things to your taste. So without further ado, let's go ahead and push this pie crust over, and let's pour her in. I did add a little bit more of cinnamon and a little bit more of allspice. So I don't want to over season it, but I want my stuff to taste good. So you see how I did this here? Now the recipe calls for 1 can of milk. I did not use 1 can. I used a little bit of evaporated, okay? Let me go ahead and get this scraped up and put it all in here. Hey, you guys, without further ado, I have scraped up most, if not all, of the pumpkin pie filling, and it poured in like a churn perfectly enough to make 1 9-inch pie crust. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and this is going to complete my video. I thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see if I can, show you all the finished results. Okay, so there you have it, how to make delicious homemade pumpkin pie. Pick up your frozen pie crust from your grocery freezer. It doesn't have to be deep dish 9-inch, but I recommend that you get a deep dish 9-inch, because if you get the regular one, you're going to have to use both of those crusts. Okay, so this is the deep dish crust, and make sure you have your all the other ingredients that I showed you so that we can get that delicious pumpkin pie. Y'all, I'm baking this pie at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and some recipes call for like 40 minutes or something, not with my oven. So we're getting there. It's just about done. And also, you guys, I like to eat this pie warmed, like let's say after it cool off just a little bit. I like to, even if it's cooled off to room temperature, when I cut this pie, I like to put it in like a saucer or a bowl or a plate and heat it up for about 15 seconds in the microwave so that it will, be served hot. And this will be good at any time of the day, not just for a dessert. It's also good with a cup of coffee or tea. And you might want, this is optional. You can actually top your pumpkin pie with whipped cream, or you can serve it on the side. Also the pumpkin pie is also delicious served with a scoop of French vanilla ice cream. So these are just ideals. You don't have to use this, but this is whipped toppings. As you can see, the crust is becoming golden brown, but the inside is not really done yet. So I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. I did lower my temperature down to 300 degrees. All right, you guys, I know that you wanted to see a slice of this pie, but it is piping hot. I just turned my oven off. I'm going to let it sit in here to allow the pie to finish cooking more on the inside without my crust burning. I thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, for your homemade pie, you may want to use the proper amount of eggs, but as a cook, I know how to put flour in the filling, thickening it up so that it still can remain solid after it cools off. With that, you all, I have the results of the pumpkin pie. I thought it wouldn't be fair if I didn't share the results with you all. I did put some flour in there to help hold it up because I did not use the, 2 to 3 eggs that the recipe called for. I only used 1 egg. And but I thought it wouldn't be fair unless I showed you guys the result. I still can see where some of that butter didn't dissolve. So I hope that as I cut this, I hope that it holds up, but I can tell it may not. And if this happens to you all, don't panic. It's still going to taste good, okay? So let's see. I'm just going to try to cut a little bit here. I may not even make this. Y'all, this was the best pumpkin pie ever. For best results, use 2 to 3 eggs. And if your pie crust begin to brown before the filling is more firmer, lightly wrap it with aluminum foil. Be careful because the filling will be hot. With that note, I'm out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please use 2 to 3 eggs, not 1, so that when it cools off, your filling will thicken properly.